environment.
All right, I have 6 o'clock. I call our meeting of the Board of Supervisors to order. Invocation is going to be given by Chris Hughes, Springs of Life.
Let's pray. Father, we're so thankful for another day, Father, for your breath, and the privilege to live in a great community like Patrick County, Virginia, Father. We just pray that you just be over our time in a special way, Father, as we're able to come together, Father, as your community, to talk about your business, your work, and Father, your people. And just thank you so much for this special opportunity. We love you, Father, in your name. Amen.
Amen. Clayton, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let's take a moment of silence for our U.S. military serving here and abroad, and for public safety and EMS. You may be seated. Ms. Hazelwood, could you give me the speakers? Our first order of business is the public hearing on redistricting. I will now open that meeting. Oh. We are going to hold that for a second. I need Ms. Hazelwood has a couple of additions to the agenda.
I do, and you have before you tonight a fire and rescue exemption proposal. We'll need to add it under new business lastly, and also I have an update on the North Carolina tower site. That's all the additions I have, Mr. Chair.
Okay. All right, given those additions, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve it.
Second.
Second.
All right, Mr. Simmons.
Aye.
Mr. Kendrick.
Aye.
Ms. Starwall. Mr. Perry. Aye. I vote aye also. All right, so now we will open the public hearing on redistricting. All right, anybody else want to sign up before we get started to speak? Give everybody a fair chance. Okay, on redistricting, we have Mr. Jack Betts.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
I want to thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to you for a few minutes this evening. I'm fulfilling tonight a promise I made 10 years ago to my father-in-law, who used to live on Belcher Mountain Road. And this is a story about what happened after the 2000 redistricting. And I have a request that I hope you'll at least consider tonight. When my wife, Martha, and I retired from North Carolina and moved to Patrick County in 2011, one of our first civic duties was to vote. On the first election day opportunity, we drove to the polls, walked in, presented our driver's licenses, and the very nice person checking us in took one look at our address and said, "Why are you here?" She had a good point. We live up on Belcher Mountain Road, atop the mountain, and our post office is Meadowsville, yet we were assigned to the polling place down the mountain in Woolline. The voting staff quickly contacted the Board of Elections and found that, yes, we were in the right place. But that was because we were accidentally assigned years ago to the Smith River District and have voted in that precinct ever since. But before the 2000 redistricting, our family and our neighbors all voted in the Blue Ridge District at the Meadowsville Elementary School. How that change came about is an interesting story about good intentions, trying to do the right thing, but making an error in the process of trying to draw a simple line for a voting district. Our good neighbor and former Patrick County Attorney Alan Black explained in 2001 that the change was, in his words, unintentional. Mr. Black explained that what happened in a letter to my father-in-law, who lived at 3359 Belcher Mountain Road on the north side of Belcher Mountain Road with his wife Fran. In 2001, they and their neighbors Don and Wendy Shook, who also lived on the north side of Belcher Mountain Road, had asked Mr. Black to arrange a meeting to correct what they felt was an accidental error. Mr. Black responded there was inefficient time before the upcoming election to make that change, but he conceded in his letter that an error had been made based on the faulty assumption. Quote, "Your placement in the Smith River District was unintentional. One of the factors in drawing new district and precinct lines was an attempt to prevent someone like yourself from having to vote below the mountain or vice versa. However, in an attempt to obtain a well-defined boundary for the Blue Ridge and Smith River districts, a line was drawn from the parkway to Loversley Overlook. Inadvertently, you were caught up and relocated." Unquote. Mr. Black suggested to the Stricklands and the Shooks that they seek a regularly scheduled board meeting to petition the board to hear their complaint. I don't know, but I do not believe that occurred. In July 2002, the Stricklands and the Shooks tried again, pointing out that the county had told the U.S. Justice Department, which oversees voting lines, no permanent residences were involved in transferring the election district boundaries as a straight line through the mountainous terrain, unquote. The Stricklands and the Shooks pointed out, obviously, this statement was not carefully researched. It appears that nothing came of their appeal in 2001 or 2002. Mr. Strickland hoped to raise the issue at the next redistricting in 2010 or 2011, but he was unable to do so. He developed cancer and died in December 2010. Before he died, he gave me his packet of materials and correspondence with local officials and asked me to see what I could do when we became Virginia residents. We moved to Patrick County in mid-2011, and this is the first time we have been able to raise the issue during the redistricting process, and the first opportunity I can fulfill my promise to Mr. Strickland. I have provided 2 letters between Mr. Black and the Stricklands and the Shooks to Ms. Susan Taylor and the Board of Elections about this process, and I'm grateful for her efforts to include residents of Belcher Mountain Road in the Blue Ridge District. I understand the contractors who have helped Patrick County with this arduous process believe it best to keep the residents on the north side of Belcher Mountain Road in the Smith River District and voting down the mountain, and return only the south side of our road to the Blue Ridge District. I urge you to reconsider. These good folks on the north side of our road live virtually on the nearest thing to a cliff in our neighborhood, and it's miles south and far above Woolline, yet only a few hundred yards across the road from their friends and neighbors, including family. 2 of those residents are daughter and son-in-law of Mr. Strickland. They built a new home on the old Strickland property and are moving to Patrick County at the end of May. and I'm sure they too identify more with the Blue Ridge District. We would be grateful if you could see your way to correcting a 20-year-old error and putting the good people of this part of Patrick County back into the Blue Ridge District. Thank you. I would be happy to answer any questions you have.
Does anybody have any questions? I would certainly be glad to accept more voters in my district. But
It's the second smallest proposal.
that's right. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hazelwood, can we adjust this?
You can look into this for Mr. Bates.
All right. Anybody else?
I know I've had some questions about that, especially when voting for school board. So if your kids go to school in Mazatlan, but yet you go to Smith River to vote.
Right.
So I've had some similar questions come up as well.
Okay. Well, if there are no more comments, I'll close the open hearing, and we do need to vote on it, correct?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one request. Number one, if we're going to look into the request that was just made, I would certainly request additional time to review whether or not that change can be made and still have the ordinance comply with the requirements of the U.S. and Virginia Constitution. Secondarily, the General Assembly of Virginia has incorporated a requirement now that the Justice Department does not do pre-clearance, that the Attorney General's office now does pre-clearance. So we will need to send a letter requesting a certificate of no objection to the Attorney General's office. And so my recommendation would be to hold off on the final adoption of this ordinance until we actually have, number one, the opportunity to research that particular point, and then number two, obtain that certification from the Attorney General's office.
Okay.
And obviously, we will let you know when we get all that squared away, and then we'll just bring it before you again.
Are we going to be all right as far as time and everything?
I'm hopeful that you will be able to take care of this next month.
All right. Well then, anybody have any objections to putting it back to have it researched? All right, we will do that. Thank you. Now just remember, Clyde Deloach. All right, then it is closed. We will postpone that. Now we have a hearing, public hearing on the budget. And before I open up comment, I will say that if you're speaking for the library, it may make a difference that we have level funded the library, so that money is back in the budget. You know, you're still welcome, certainly, to speak. All right, I will open up public hearing for the budget, and Mr. Bozemeyer is first to speak. And let's try to keep it to 5 minutes. We got a lot of, I don't know how many are actually going to speak. Shouldn't be a problem.
Good evening. My name is Kurt Bozemeyer. I'm from the Smith River District. I would like to make a few comments about the budget process. First, I would like to thank the supervisors for their cooperation in both verbal discussions and email correspondence. Your patience and helpfulness is much appreciated. Secondly, I would like to commend the prompt and courteous interactions that I have had with county administration staff in dealing with my questions and comments. Third, I would like to thank Superintendent Jason Wood for going out of his way to answer my questions and clarify issues that I found unclear. Regarding the current budget process, let me first say that I support the school budget as assembled by the school board, and I am not specifically objecting to raises for either school employees or county employees, although some of my early comments and inquiries might have created that impression. As a Patrick County taxpayer for nearly 20 years and a full-time resident for nearly 10, I would like to say that I have a great appreciation for our school system, our public safety system, the sheriff's office, fire companies, rescue squads, our library, and our tourism department. Therefore, I would like to see each of these programs supported in a fair and equitable manner in terms of financial support. I am concerned about some of the proposed cuts, especially to the library, the fire and rescue squads, the college, the airport, the Reynolds Homestead Arts Program, etc. Several months ago, we saw the county portion of the Transient Occupancy Tax get increased from $40,000 to $80,000 due to being, quote, out of compliance, unquote. Yet in the current budget proposal, the county take is reported as $200,000 out of the projected $500,000 transient occupancy tax. And the tourism budget is slated for a 6% cut. The EDA director goes from $48,000 in 2021 to $70,000 plus in 2023, a 45% increase. This may be justified, but I would like it explained. No disrespect to Mr. Atkins intended. I am disappointed to see drastic cuts to certain programs, while some salaries and others are increased by 7% or 10% or more. If you cut allocations to one group, the allocations to all other groups should be comparable, unless you raise the tax rate to accommodate all our programs fairly. I understand that the 11% cut to the library will put its funding below what it was in fiscal year 2008. That is just plain sad. A lot of folks in the county depend on the library and their programs. We are in a real estate boom right now. Houses sell within days of being listed. Increase the assessments if need be to raise the necessary funds. I understand, as Mr. Kendrick has repeatedly noted, that 1/3 of the county's citizens are over 60 years of age. If property taxes are a hardship for folks on a fixed income, we can and should provide waivers for seniors of limited assets, for veterans, and for the disabled. I'm pushing 70 years old myself, and besides Social Security, I have only the few bucks that I was able to sock away while I was working. But not everyone is in that position. I will remind you of a former supervisor who was a senior citizen, and at the same time, the largest private landowner in Patrick County. I will also ask that as future budget documents are published, that we be provided with a list of what all the acronyms mean. VPA, CSA, SVRA, we can't even Google these terms for meaningful interpretations, yet they are scattered throughout the budget. Thank you for your patience in listening to this rant, and I hope that you will find a way to adequately fund all our necessary programs.
Thank you, Mr. Bozemeyer. All right, we have
Thank you.
Norma Bozemeyer.
Thank you once again for letting me speak. I'm Norma Bozemeyer, Smith River District. I've watched Kurt sit and go over all these numbers and share them with me in the last week or so, and I think he addressed all those questions. In the past meetings, I've addressed the board about the wonderful tourism visitor center, our beautiful library, a special place for all the community, and my respect for the schools and the school employees. I've also have appreciation of the fire rescue squads, our community college, Piedmont Community Service, which is a very important part of the community, and many, many more. All of these things make Patrick County the wonderful place it is to live and to retire. Cutting programs and services is not okay, in my opinion. I was very disappointed in receiving a response to a passionate email in support of the library, basically blaming it on the schools. Blaming the schools for all the budget problems is not helpful. The schools didn't cause the problems, the lack of funding did. That's what we have to look at. Giving raises to some while cutting programs and salaries of others is also not okay in my opinion. If a raise is warranted, then a funding source should be found to support that raise and not taking it from other programs. And I want to thank you for reconsidering the library for the cuts. I was going to add that to it here. No one here will disagree that you have a very difficult job, and I personally respect all of you for caring enough to be up there. I know you're not getting paid big bucks to do it. We are all here because we love this county. We love its services. So please, let's get creative and solve the funding problems without slashing services. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I'm sorry, I can't read. Looks like Betsy. I think.
I'm a Betsy, I go.
All right, looks like Hall or Hale. No, you're down below, but there's, I'm sorry, I just can't read it. It's, looks like, yeah, somebody signed up after Ms. Bozemeyer. Anybody? I'm sorry, I just can't. All right, anybody sign up that they think I'm mangling their name? Sorry. And I'm used to my name being mangled, so. Yeah, she's. Yeah.
Yeah, that looks like a Betsy. Betsy H.A. something.
Yeah, so do we have another Betsy in here?
Somebody from Henry County? Yeah.
Henry County?
Yeah.
All right, well, you're down here too, so
Come
come on down.
All right.
All right. Yeah, sorry.
No worries. Thank you very much indeed. As he said, my name is Betsy Haskins, and I am honored to be chair of the board of the Blue Ridge Library System. And the way you started off this meeting just warms my heart. Thank you very much indeed. I want to tell you how grateful I am that the library is here and how lucky one of my favorite places in Patrick County is to have a library like this. Our staff is absolutely amazing. They go to all ends to solve every problem that someone has, to get any piece of material, whatever version it may be, whether it's a CD-ROM or a book or magazine. And I am just so joyful that this library is here for everybody. I'd like to publicly thank our staff very quickly. Gary Clifton is the head of the library, Samantha Edmondson, Cindy Howe, Jeffrey Hilton, Kimberly Tilley, James Martin, and our bookmobile driver, Gail Wagner. So that is really all I have to say, except I want to tell y'all two really cool things. These are sayings that I got at the library in New York. And the first one says, the only thing that you absolutely have to know is the location of the library. And we all do, so that's good. The other one is, a library is not a luxury, but one of the necessities of life, which you all obviously ascribe to. Thank you very much indeed.
All right, thank you. Okay, we have Steve Martrell, is that right? Marshall.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I want to speak to the budget, so there was going to be an increase to the sheriff's department. I'm going to suggest that you guys hold that until next year, and you take a close look at your sheriff's department. There has been lawsuit after lawsuit, and come September, I believe you're all getting another lawsuit. It's all the same actors. It's the same names that's on the Clark case, same names that's on the Epperson case, the same kind of conduct. reprehensible conduct. I know you can't speak because I was a councilman. You can't speak that either. The Epperson case to me was an armed home invasion, assault on a child, 10-year-old, and theft. Not conveyance, that's the polite way we call it when it's police officers or some government entity. That was theft. Terrible case, horrible, horrific. I'm just going to suggest if someone that was a councilman I dealt with, the biggest case I dealt with was a police case. I negotiated police union contracts. I know what I'm talking about. You need to not fund the problem, you need to examine the problem. Okay, that's all I want. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We have Mr. Rick Ward. Finally got one right. I'm proud of myself.
Rick Ward, Director of the Blue Ridge Regional Library. First of all, thank you very much for returning this to level funding. And I just wanted to touch on a few things. There was a lot of confusion there for a while, and I didn't know if you were aware or not, but the county actually owns the library building and the land that it sits on. How that worked out, I don't know, but there is an agreement between the two counties and the city of Martinsville to form the library that was dated May 29th, 1975. And so that's been in effect for quite a while. And I assume that everyone got the letter that I sent to Ms. Hazelwood to forward on to you, so I won't read the Code of Virginia to you. If you need that particular code number, I can give it to you. And I just wanted to mention that as far as the community caring about the library, back in the mid to late 80s, the community came together and raised over $500,000 to build the building that sits there now. Then back in 2016, 2017, the community came together again to raise over $150,000 to buy the new bookmobile, and we're very proud of that bookmobile. And so as far as trying to get raises for the staff, it's been a long time since we've been able to increase salaries, except for the minimum wage going up. So half of our staff are now making minimum wage at the library due to minimum wage going up. A lot of homeschoolers use the library. Back in 2005, 2006, the library was funded at $255,870. So it really hasn't increased that much in 16 years. So that's why we keep coming every year saying, please give us some money so we can give our staff, hardworking staff, a raise. And we feel like the library is part of the community's identity. It's one of the things that helps attract businesses and also gives people a sense that we're diversified and cultured, and we care about people, because anybody can use the library at no cost. We try to do as much as we can for the community, and the bookmobile goes to every part of the county, and we try to serve everyone we can equally. But I do want to take this opportunity to thank you at least for returning us to level funding. And if you have any questions for me, I can answer them now, or if you have them later, just let Ms. Hazelwood know, or you can email me directly at the library or call me up. So, but thank you again, and I'll take any questions you might have. Okay.
Thank you. All right, we have Laura Mahaffey.
Hello, I would like to thank you so very much for level funding for the library. We really greatly appreciate that. I'm just gonna touch on a couple of things because I had some things that are now irrelevant, but this is more of a celebration for us, so I'm gonna address that. When I thought about writing what I wanted to say, I realized that I was really wearing a few hats. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of the Blue Ridge Regional Library System. I'm also the president of Bull Mountain Arts. I'm a proud card-carrying member of the library, and I'm also a proud and happy member of this community. The consequences of the actions that would have happened would have been far-reaching. And as far as Bull Mountain Arts are concerned, and our efforts to enrich the lives of our community through our programs, we cannot imagine that we could do what we do without the existence of a fully funded library. The library is a place to source artistic inspiration. It's research on topics related to understanding the history of art and our own cultural identity. It's a place to gather and to attend events. The people who live in remoter areas of the county come here to do their shopping, they visit their friends, and they come to the library. They check out books. Time and again, I've seen folks from all parts of the county use the resources of the library that don't have internet access. And they come there and they send important documents to places like hospitals, insurance companies, and doctors' offices, places that have a direct impact on their health and their well-being. So I want to thank you also for that. As a community member and somebody who spends a lot of time in the library, I can attest to the dedication and the hard work of the staff and how important every patron is to them. It's going to be corny, but here it comes anyway. It is a place literally where everybody knows your name and they're always glad you came. I'd like to end that with a quote from Angela Clark. A library is not just a reference service, it is a place for the vulnerable. From the elderly gentleman whose only remaining human interaction is with the library staff, to the isolated young mother who relishes the support and friendship that grows from a baby rhyme time session, to a slow-moving 30-something woman collecting her CDs. Libraries are a haven. In a world where community services are being ground down to nothing, libraries are vital. Their worth cannot be measured in books alone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now I know where to go when I'm getting beaten up as a supervisor. All right, we have Margaret Caldwell.
Good evening, I'm Margaret Caldwell, and I am from Henry County, but I'm also on the board of trustees for the Blue Ridge Regional Library. And you received a document from me a few days ago giving some reasons, and I appreciate you giving attention to that document, and that you have chosen to restore us to level funding. That is absolutely crucial for the reasons you saw in that letter from our board. I wanted to touch on just a few things, and I know Lewis has a couple of other things he's going to say, so I just wanted to remind you of two or three things. One is the library is certainly more than books, and those of you who have been in a library any time in the past few years know that that's true. It is a center of lifelong learning, of gaining computer skills, of tutoring. Teachers come to the Patrick Library to do tutoring for their students. There's family and social support there. There's a safe haven for people of all ages, and people have used it as a safe haven. There is enrichment there through many activities from preschoolers all the way to senior citizens. There have been a lot of programs on health, which contributes to the health and well-being of this community and the well-being of the citizens as a whole. It increases literacy skills, and we know that the library is indeed a continuation of your educational system that began with your preschool and with your wonderful schools. And in fact, the library is a partner with all your school systems. You know, the bookmobile stops at the schools. I wanted to mention that the summer reading program, for example, last summer, with COVID still going, still had 130 people, children and adults, participate in the summer reading program. And you know how crucial that is for children, especially, to maintain their reading level across the summer so the teachers don't have to spend the first 6 weeks of school trying to catch the children up from what they've lost over the summer. I also wanted to mention that the library, as I said in my notes, is not just any other nonprofit. And it's not really an outside agency. And I know in the 3 budgets of the 3 jurisdictions, it's listed that way. But that truly is a misnomer. Because the libraries historically, from the time that Benjamin Franklin started one, which if you watched Benjamin Franklin on PBS recently, you saw that, through today, have always been the responsibility of the local communities. Always. And really, the employees of the library are wonderful employees, are truly your employees. The same as the school system, the same as your government. It just so happens that you only have to give the 3 jurisdictions together provide 74% of the budget because there is some state and federal help, but you've already learned what happens if that decreases. But if your employees deserve a raise, then we hope that next year when you look at your budget, and I'm going to be bold and say that, next year when you look at the budget, think about our library employees who haven't had a raise at all in so many years, as you've already heard. And I wanted to say another word about the professional staff. They are exceptional here, and in fact, at all the libraries in the system. We've all of us on the board visit all the libraries, get to know the staff, and they are exceptional professional people. And the staff are trained, you know, and there's something wrong to me, as someone has already probably said to you, that some staff are getting $11 an hour. They can make more than that at McDonald's now. And these are people who are trained and skilled in doing a wide variety of services through the library. And so I just want to encourage you to continue to study this issue. We thank you again for restoring us to level funding, which absolutely is essential, and in supporting all that your Patrick County Library does. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Donna Marshall.
I'm not gonna waste everybody's time. Everybody's talking about the library. That's what I was gonna come up about. Everybody's saying the same thing. I just want to thank you for doing the level funding on it. And I agree with you in regards to the wages. You can go to Walmart and start at $12 an hour. I mean, they got skill and whatnot. They deserve it.
Okay, thank you. All right, Bethany O'Connell, is that right? Close, maybe.
Hi, my name is Bethany O'Connell. I'm in the Peters Creek District. I live in Patrick County, and I'm the owner of Resolute Therapy, which is a outpatient rehab clinic and ABA agency here in Stewart. I hold a master's degree as a licensed speech language pathologist, as well as another degree as a licensed board certified behavior analyst. I've worked with pediatrics for almost 20 years, and I'm also a proud mother of a 5-year-old. I do want to thank you for the decisions you all have made, because I get to go home to him and read 3 of the 15 books that we have checked out this week and hold my head up and say that the hours are going to be the same, the staff, we're good. I really do appreciate that. But I would like to stand here and today tell you about how my son lit up for the first time when he got his library card, and he's used it ever since on the 708 books that we have checked out and read since November of 2018. Oh wait, pause. 707. One of those was mine. One of those books was mine. By the way, I did call them today and asked them for that count. How many businesses can you call and get someone on the phone to answer a ridiculous question that I was asking in that moment, right then and there? I hope for my business we're able to do that. I don't know that we do. But that was very important and enlightening as well. I would like to tell you about the one thing that he did verbalize that he missed most during COVID, and that was not being able to go to the library each week to check out his 10 to 15 books and join in story time. I'd like to be able to say that if you have not made the library a priority, a part of your routine, ritual, what have you, you're missing out, truly missing out. So I won't talk about how absolutely personally devastating it would have been for my 5-year-old to lose any of the programs and resources that potentially 11% may have caused. I understand that you weren't suggesting a closure, but that 11% decrease would have reminded me of how things were in COVID, when we had to call Gail and she had to pick out the books for him and put them outside in the foyer for us to pick up. He didn't get to go in and check out the books and look for them, or ask the person behind the counter for a list of books on the subject of his choosing, and then go find the letter that the author started with to then go find his book. He's 5. I would like to say I played a big part in that education, but the library and the resources and the availability of those books that we read every night have contributed immensely to that. But in the event that this subject comes up again, I would like to just provide you with some facts and research about the potential impact of how important it is to the development of children, an area in which I spend all of my knowledge, training, and heart on. Books providing natural context for learning. Typically, developing children learn about 3,000 new words each year, 8 new words every day. Direct teaching in school accounts for about 10 words of those per week. So how do they gain the rest, you ask? Conversations and reading. A study in 1988 concluded that children's books contain approximately twice as many infrequently used words or rare words than conversations do. Books also provide exposure to more advanced grammatical forms than typical spoken language. They're efficient, they're convenient. And face it, times right now have changed for field trips and events for going to sea and having those experiences. Gas prices will not allow it in the budget. Excuse me. So what better way to enjoy the world of cultures and experiences at a portable, low to no cost than from the library? I myself would hate to calculate the cost of those 707 books that have enriched my son's vocabulary, knowledge, and language. Best of all, my biggest soapbox, books don't have LED screens. A growing body of evidence documents negative effects from too much screen time. This is an impact that I see in my clinic daily. Speech and language development, disruptive sleep patterns, changes in moods and behaviors, aggression, sometimes violence, long-term emotional problems and anxiety resulting from constant sensory overload. Books can help counteract these negative effects of too much screen time. How powerful a tool indeed. So I put it to you, if we here now do not place a high priority and set an example for the importance that the library bookmobile has on the development of our children, then you might as well have taken that 11% and go stick a tablet in the children's hands and say good luck. I myself do not want the increase in referrals to my clinic, knowing that this decision could have played a part in impacting my child's development. So I am very thankful that you all have made that decision and kept the funding. And I thank you for your time. I'm going to leave and go read our 3 books for tonight.
All right. Thank you. All right, Louis Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm here as a member of the Board of Trustees of the Regional Library System and concurrently Vice President of the Friends of the Library, which is an organization that a large number of folks from all of the jurisdictions belong, and with the revenues that we generate from selling used books and membership, we in fact contribute to one program that was mentioned today. We contributed $5,000 to the summer reading program that affects all of them. But my purpose is not to regurgitate all the numbers and pleas that you have put up with for the last 3 or 4 days of the week. But I want to compliment the people of Patrick County. When I look at the number of books that were checked out thus far this fiscal year, 36% of them were checked out in Patrick County. This is considering Martinsville and Henry. And it includes, of course, the bookmobile. Of all the people who walked in the front door in all of our library branches, 30% of them walked in or used Patrick facilities. And all the people who asked for references, some 24% were from Patrick. So my point is that people of Patrick County are supportive of the library system, and they certainly are users. So your decision had probably a far greater impact than you realize. And we certainly are grateful for that. Patrick County.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Jason Wood.
Thank you, sir. Teacher practice. So I do want to give a budget update for everyone who's attended. I know we had several questions from community members that I've been trying to field this week. And also, if y'all have any questions that you would like for me to answer, but where we are in our current budget process, as you can see there, we are still waiting on a approved state budget. There are 3 proposed versions still out there, and the local expenditure ranges from $6.5 to $6.7 million still. And our budget that we have approved at the school system is in the middle there at $6.6 million for the proposed budget. And the approved budget by the school board is $0 above the minimum for required local match and required local effort. This is a $900,000 increase from last year, the current 2022 calculation tool. And this increase is due to the governor, House, and Senate's focus on education. They have put more money into education, again, with our composite index. Roughly about 25% of the budget comes from the locality. Therefore, the locality portion is also increasing. So, you know, we are having meetings with state officials, Department of Education, and we are requesting to review formulas for rural schools. We're wanting to be a part of the solution to take some of that tax burden off of our citizens. And Patrick County has been selected to a JLARC panel discussion actually on Wednesday, where we will present our feelings towards a rural school funding formula and maybe a review, so that maybe the state will take into consideration of localities' ability to pay, not just the composite index and property value. And maybe they'll take into consideration how much revenue we are generated from businesses. So I look forward to that discussion. Again, that is this Wednesday with members from the JLARC, which is a judicial review that the Department of Education uses a lot. So also where we are in the budget process, we had a joint meeting with the county administrator and the Board of Supervisors attorney, with myself, board chair, and our attorney, and that independent consultant reviewed our budget, gave us feedback, and that was that second copy that I provided you. There is a few key takeaways that school divisions are responsible for requesting at least the minimum required local effort and required local match from their governor bodies. And that's, again, what we're doing, nothing more than require local effort, require local match. And another quote from her report is the annual budget request to the governor body should start with local funding, require local effort, and require local match. And again, that's what we're asking for. Require local effort is the SOQ funding, require local match is those incentive programs. So our school board would like our next step to be a joint committee meeting or a joint full board meeting so that we can look at the 2022 budget and also the 2023 budget and continue to work together. We have some promising news. Our school board just voted to purchase property, and so our current school board office would be something that we'd like to come a discussion with y'all for space that you may need for some of the departments for the county administration building. And so again, we want to work together to find solutions that may save you money from your budget, but also utilize some of our school facilities there. So clearing up any misunderstandings. I know that I had a lot of questions on this over the weekend about total local expenditure that's listed from the Department of Education, and it kind of discusses that the locality should fund the total local expenditure, and that is the total required local effort plus the required local match. And so both effort and match funding is necessary for us to meet the needs of our students. So again, the SOQ funding is the required local effort. The required local match is those incentive programs that I have listed there, which is preschool, at-risk, infrastructure operation, compensation supplement, and the class size reduction. But if you just look at local effort, again, that only funds SOQ positions, and I have some examples there. So we only receive funds for 4.4 career and technical education teachers, and we could not have a viable CTE program if we just had the required local effort. Same thing, 140 classroom teachers, and we actually have up to 200 of them. So we could not run our school system on required local effort only. The next slide there are kind of previous information I presented with the match programming. That is 16% of our budget. You can see total funding of our match programs for 2023 budget is $5.6 million. And again, 1/4 of that comes from the locality due to our composite index. So every dollar that we invest, we unlock state tax dollars that citizens in Patrick County have already paid to the state. So we would not want to leave those tax dollars for another school system to use. And the next slide there, if we were forced to making cuts to those match programs, you could see the negative impact it would have truly due to cutting staff members. And that would be detrimental to our local economy because we are the largest employer in Patrick County. And so the support of our local businesses from the people in which we employ, I think would have long-lasting effects there as well. And so then at the end, you can see the budget breakdown. 74% of our budget is personnel and benefits, and 26% is other expenditures. And I have the other expenditures broken down there, and it kind of just is as basic as a budget as I think we can have. But I'm open to answer any questions. I would ask, as we are having the public hearing on the budget, the school system is kind of in limbo, waiting to offer contracts, waiting to offer jobs. If we could have a resolution or something from the Board of Supervisors that we will maintain required local match, required local effort funding, then I feel that we could go forward and offer contracts to our employees, which I think would help them feel better as they move into the end of school. Also allow us to offer positions that we would like to add to meet the needs of our students. That's all I have.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
Any questions? All right, thanks. Okay. Any questions on any of this? Any comments that you have before we close it? Okay, then I close the public hearing on the budget. On our public comment, we have Mr. Chris Hughes.
This is fun, isn't it? Yeah, buddy. Hey, listen, I just wanted to thank you guys again for the opportunity to be here, be a part of this community. I actually handed out a couple pieces of paper through Ms. Walker over there for two different things that were up here tonight. One, Springs of Life Camp. There's a little bit of buzz generated around the community right now with what's going on. There was a newspaper article that was published a couple years ago. Just wanted to again just get some things out there and make sure that it was entered into public record there that Springs of Life Camp is a nonprofit that's here in the community. It was established back in '73, and what you've actually got there is just a timeline that records 200 years of local church history right here in Patrick County, Virginia. What's actually happening over there is a lot of in the context of local churches refer to the term of revival, and that means different things according to different people and different interpretations or however. But what you're actually watching happen literally right before our eyes is revival in the church, capital C, and that basically means a community of multiple churches and denominations coming from all over the place. Everybody's already familiar with the Patrick County Ministerial Association, and just echoing everything that everybody's talking about, the impacts of the library on this community. Again, it's impacting my family to the point it's actually impacting families beyond Patrick County. And again, no need to get into any of that kind of stuff. The second document that you've got, just again to make you aware, the very first week of June, again, the world is watching what's happening in Patrick Springs right now. And again, you guys need to be very much aware of it. We've actually got a group, a national organization called the Carpenters for Christ, based out of Piedmont, Alabama. We're expecting, it's actually the same group. You guys have all been around. You're familiar with a couple churches, Middle Cross Missionary. There's a Mayo Mountain over off of 103 somewhere. Just over many years, this organization has taken light into the community. And again, they've sensed what in the world is happening right now. So again, you're going to see some more things. And again, just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that, and also invite you to be a part of that and whatever that context looks like. And again, just putting it out there, we'd love to invite you over for a tour so you can see really base value and be involved on the ground level in what's happening in our community here. Again, not asking for anything other than to grow our relationship in our community and all of the things that come along with that. And also lastly, we're part of course, again, the Patrick County Ministerial Association. The National Day of Prayer is May 5th. And again, I want to invite you guys, we just, again, understand that there is an entire community within our community that's praying and lifting this group up. And specifically that day, you guys are invited to that along with everybody else, of course. Again, that's May 5th at 12 o'clock right there at the courthouse. Thank you so much for your time and all of your service to the community and what you guys are doing here. Thank you for letting us be a part of it. Have a great day.
Thank you. All right. Yeah.
Chris, I'd just like to tell everybody, I toured Springs of Life Camp, and it is revived. Thank you for that. And I urge everybody else to go take a look at it. Is it available for visitors that come to town?
A really good question, absolutely. So we, for the last 60 years, it's been under control of a private group of one version or denomination of the church, and literally on Friday of last week, praise the Lord, just some conversations that were happening. You'll see in this paperwork, we began some projects back in 2019, right before COVID, and just the culture in all sorts of communities, again, everywhere. We've got communities of churches and families that are supporting our ministry from Roanoke, Christiansburg, Richmond, down to multiple towns in Tennessee, and literally all across the world. Kids came right here to Patrick Springs and grown up to literally go all over the world. So literally what we're watching happen right now is essentially the Lord's building an example that's going to be patterned right here out of Patrick Springs, Virginia. Again, it's nothing that we're doing in this particular group. Again, as you'll see, it's something that the Lord started 200 stinking years ago. And like I said, just the history was forgotten by time. Very, very intricate. Thank you so much for that.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, then I close the public comment period. We have a proclamation from Mr. Robert Reynolds that I will read. I'm not going to read all the whereases. I think you can follow it. Proclamation of the Patrick County Board of Supervisors recognizing Mr. Robert J. Reynolds. Robert J. Reynolds, who is 59 years old, is a Patrick County born and bred gentleman who has bravely battled liver disease for the past 10 years. He worked in area restaurants that led to his own side catering business and created flower arrangement for countless people in and around Patrick County, and dealt in antiques nearly all of his life. He also has researched genealogy, carrying on the tradition of his family. And he served years volunteering with Patrick County Christmas Cheer. And Robert, alongside his wife Paula, raised 2 sons, Seth and Logan, and has been a faithful member of his church and served as volunteer parent for his son's soccer teammates. And unfortunately, Robert has been unable to work for the past 2 years. He has a heart made of gold and would help anyone in need at the drop of a hat. Now, therefore, let it be proclaimed by the County of Patrick that this board, for and on behalf of the people of Patrick County, does hereby declare Saturday, April 30th, 2022 to be Robert Reynolds Day in Patrick County, Virginia. Thank you. All right, we have fire and rescue.
Yes, we have a fire and rescue exemption proposal. So Ms. Stone is not with us tonight. She's asked that I get this to you for your review. Basically, the new proposal is just different than the old. To have the EMS director submit to the office, treasurer's office, a list prior to personal property bills being printed. The treasurer's office will then check to see if taxes are owed. If not, the vehicle they use for EMS services will be flagged as 0 or no VLF fees. It's up to the Board of Supervisors to decide if the taxpayer must have an actual fire or rescue squad tag from DMV to be exempt, or if they are exempt on one vehicle as long as the EMS director certifies they are on rescue squad or fire department member. But the taxes are not current, they're not eligible for 0 fee.
Okay. So are we acting on this tonight?
If you so choose.
Okay. All right, you have any questions? You have the exemption proposal, comments or questions? All right. Any comments?
So we need to decide also if they need to have an actual fire rescue squad tag from the DMV, right? In this motion.
Right. We could postpone this till the next meeting if you want to have time to look at it more carefully. All right, well, let us, you have it. Let's postpone it to the next meeting. All right, North Carolina Tower.
Just for example, North Carolina Tower, I've received some calls about this. But what I want to let the board know is where we are with North Carolina Tower site. We are waiting to see what the occupancy approvals are from the engineers. That's where we are. Just wanted a point of clarification on that.
Okay.
So I'll let you know as soon as I know something.
All right.
And that's all I have.
All right. Well, I think that it is that time. So
I'll make a motion to enter the closed session pursuant to section 2.23711 of the Code of Virginia to discuss the appointment of specific appointees to the Economic Development Authority, Planning Commission, Public Service Authority, and Solid Waste Committee, as well as the employment issue of concern of a public employee, all pursuant to subsection A1. And 2, to discuss with legal counsel retained by the board regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice from such counsel related to school funding pursuant to subsection A8 and to discuss the acquisition of real property for public purpose or discussion in open session would adversely affect the board's bargaining position or negotiating strategy related to a piece of property located in the town of Stewart pursuant to subsection A3, and 4, to discuss the expansion of an existing business regarding the recently announced hospital property pursuant to subsection 5.
All right, we have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
All right, let's vote. Mr. Simmons?
Aye.
Mr. Kendrick? Mr. Tyrwell? Mr. Perry?
Aye.
I vote aye also. We are now in closed session.